Um, Thank you very much for coming and for your participation in this panel. I would like first to introduce the speakers for today. Professor Dr. Hafiz Salmawi, the former chairman of Egypt Era, uh, Mr. Philip Jago, the manager of EPAT and technical advisor, Mr. Karim Hassan, representing CIB Sustainability Division, and Engineer Ayman Qurra, the chairman and founder of Qurra Energy. Um, so for today, actually, very glad and proud to participate in COP27, and actually, we are very glad that the Egyptian government has chosen Nuafi as the slogan and the objective of this conference for this year. We are not here just to share insights, to discuss the solutions or the directions. No, actually, this year we have chosen, and the Egyptian government has chosen, that we have one target, which is all about implementation. So, thank you. So, Noafi, we are very glad and proud, as I said, and as you surely know, the energy efficiency, the new energies and renewable energies are on the top of the priorities of the initiatives that we need to focus on and implementation as a climate change initiatives. So, as a part of NUAFI, we would like today to discuss how can we uh, actually on the ground grow whatever the solutions and applications for such energy efficiency, new energies, and renewable energy systems. This is what we need to discuss for today, and effectively on the ground in order to focus on the medium to large scale. Actually, for the giga scale, the government has signed all over the past 1 week for the COP27 and earlier several protocols, memorandum of understanding focusing on the gigawatt scale. But actually, and frankly speaking, we see also a very good potential for the medium to large scale. And we would like to discuss today about the potential and the growth opportunities, and specifically whatever is needed from the financial perspective and access to finance to effectively on the ground expand on those directions and to provide what is needed for medium to large scale projects or systems within energy efficiency, new energy, and renewable to grow and to fit for the enormous market potential that we see in our Egyptian market. So that's why we are here today to discuss and to share insights and actually on the ground to understand what is there, already there, and what is in the plan or the future for such applications and systems, and how can we get the benefit out of the available mechanism. Once again, Nuafi is our target. We are very proud and very glad to work on the ground and to effectively set a roadmap for such companies, IPPs, EPC contractors, or all the players, the stakeholders in such applications to raise the awareness. What is there to support those initiatives? So let me start with Professor Dr. Hafiz Salmawi. We will start for a presentation from his side as a promotion of renewable energies and new energies in Egypt and the legal framework enhancement. We will start for 15 minutes in this presentation, and then uh, I will ask all the speakers to share on the panel their insights and to discuss, and we'll take it from there, whatever the initiatives and the insights or inputs from their side afterwards. So, Dr. Hafiz, the floor is yours. Uh, Thank you very much for participation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Medhat, Muhammad Medhat. I think what you presented is very much important, and I believe what I'm going to present may go in line with what you mentioned. But first, I would like to thank Cora Energy for inviting me for this meeting, a very important workshop on financing solution for sustainable energy. Also, I was hoping that I will join you physically, but because for some circumstances I couldn't make it, but I hope for the next session, which will take place on Thursday, I will be physically with you. My is about promotion of renewable energy in Egypt and needs to enhance its legal frameworks to attract investments. Next, please. I think all of us agree that Egypt is a very rich country of renewable energy resources. And maybe it's a good coincidence that the slogan of the COP is basically Zatun, which is the sun where hands coming out from. Sure, Egypt also enjoy substantial wind energy resources, as I'm going to show later. There is what we call it Comprehensive Renewable Energy Master Plan, which was developed back in 2015, actually in the period between 2013 and 15, and recently has been updated in 2022. Actually, the update include a kind of enhancement for both the methodology as well as the coverage of the plan. The new update consider several other aspects, including in addition to identifying sites with resources, site constraints, because as you know, renewable energy very much sensitive to the constraints within the sites. For wind energy is the allowable tip height. And recently it's been allowed that to go to up to 120 meter for a tip height compared to the first CRAMP, which is Comprehensive Renewable Energy Master Plan, was developed. This was restricted to 100 meter because most of the development was taking place at the Gulf of Suez, where there is restriction regarding from the Army as well as from the civil aviation authorities. Also, precipitation, sandstorms, dew are very much impacting, in addition to, for sure, the topographical impact. Also, it's very much important to optimize the selection of the equipment to fit with the resources within the site, because you might find more than one equipment could provide same output based on their nominal production, yet it might not perform the same in the site based on the matching between its performance curve and the, for example, wind scheme. Also, when the CRAMP was developed at the beginning, they considered a fixed tilt solar panel, while now most of the solar panels, specifically for large-scale applications, are using tracking systems. Also, it's a challenge we have. It's not how much you could generate from a certain site, but when you will generate from that site. So, for example, if you're going to generate during the system peak, it means that your generation is much more valuable compared if you are generating off system peak. And so this is usually defined what we call it capacity credit. Finally, integration in between different renewable energy resources are very much important. For example, some sites had the advantage that they could generate electricity from wind energy overnight during early morning and around sunset. And if they be integrated with a solar system, which could generate during daytime, you're going to have a continuous supply, as well as you could reduce the interconnection cost, as now we are interconnecting two plants instead of one plant. This shows a first step update for the CRAMP, which shows sites where there is a potential solar generation as well as wind generation, which was primarily restricted to the sites where several presidential decrees has already been announced these areas to be reserved for renewable energy. The curves on the left shows the potential installed capacity. The second curve shows the capacity factor, and the final one shows quantity of energy which could be generated. The blue column is showing the wind energy, while the orange one shows the solar. So on the top curve, you will find, yes.
Sorry for the interruption, but the slides are not in line with the
Yes.
information better. Okay.
Yes.
So which slide that we would like to focus on right
slides were with a map. The slide with a map. Third slide.
now? Okay. Service. Think third. الثالثة.
Which has a map with it. It's okay?
اللي بعدها. Next one. This one.
You have a map on the right and 3 curves on the left.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot to mention next, so this is my mistake, sorry. Because I'm showing on my screen also. Now, you will find a map where areas which already has been allocated by a presidential decrees for renewable energy has been explored for renewable energy. So we have 10 sites which has been already identified for solar as well as for wind. And on the left, you will find 3 curves, one of them for the installed capacity for wind, for both wind and solar. The second curve is for the capacity factor, and the third curve is for the quantity of energy which could be generated. If we go for the first curve, the blue line or the blue column is for wind, and the orange one is for solar PV. As you could see on the on the left, that a site like West Mania could generate up to 9 gigawatt. You could have a 9 gigawatt of installed capacity in East Mania, in West Mania, and you could have around 4 gigawatt in both West Mania as well as Dakhla. Oasis. Also for site for Aswan, for the PV, the tallest column, you can go up to 15 gigawatt for PV. So there is a substantial resources. However, it might not be enough for our strategy objectives. So the CRAMP has been more advanced, and we realize that substantial resources for wind. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The second slide with another map on the left. We advanced the CRAMP, the Comprehensive Renewable Energy Master Plan, where we realized that there is substantial wind resources available in the Western Desert. In Matruh, around 100 kilometers south of the Mediterranean, West Fayoum, West Sohag, West Aswan, and South Wahat, substantial area, of a total area of around 200,000 kilometers square, which is almost fifth of area of Egypt. In addition to other area at east to Sohag, although the east of Sohag is have very harsh topographic area, although there is a very good wind scheme there, yet it will not be, might not be suitable. And this is again site constraints. Also, the development or the enhancement extended to offshore, where we have substantial wind resources in the Gulf of Suez, within the middle of the Gulf, close to the shore, to the western shore, as well as 2 areas in front of Jabal al-Zayt, as well as Hurghada. Also, we have some other areas in Gulf of Aqaba, but maybe Gulf of Aqaba had site constraint regarding it's a naturally preserved area, so it might not be allowed to have projects there. So a total installed capacity of wind of above 200 gigawatt, 200 gigawatt, which is substantial. It's more than what we need for Egypt and even for the region. In addition, for sure, for the solar. And prices, as you could look for levelized cost of energy in the column, prices goes between 2.5 cents to up to 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Next, please. So now we have so far, up till now, renewable energy just represents 5% of the total energy mix of Egypt, not electricity. I'm talking of the total energy supply mix, which is amounted at 100 million ton of oil equivalent. So just 5% is being supplied by renewable energy. Also, electricity represent only 22, which is almost internationally 22% of the end consuming energy. So fuel represent around 87% of our energy consumption as today, and only electricity represent 22%. The target in the strategy is to increase a renewable energy share from 5% to 25%. I am talking about the total energy supply mix, not electricity. Electricity now, renewable represents 13% of the generation and 20% almost of an installed capacity. But I'm talking about the total energy mix of Egypt. So the target is to increase supply of renewable from 5% to 25% and increase the share of electricity from 22% to 30%. 30% could be achieved through energy efficiency measures, as it been mentioned, specifically in industrial sector, specifically in heating system, as well as switching some sectors or electrifying some sectors like transportation sector to switch to electricity from fuel use. This is a preliminary run for the reference scenario. Reference scenario means that the scenario when we applied the existing regulations, not a more enhancement measure which could be used or a carbon tax or whatever. This is according to current existing regulations, that we could achieve 25% renewable energy share by 2025. The curve, next please, where the pie chart exists. We could achieve 25% renewable energy resources by 2025. This might go to 45%, second curve until top right, from renewable, and it might go to 57% if we add the energy generated from nuclear plant, which expect to be online by 2030. So 75% from electric energy generated will come from non-hydrocarbon resources by 2030. It might go to 63%, the left bottom, from renewable, and if we added nuclear, it will be 72%. And for 2040, it might go 73% from renewable and 80% if we add nuclear. So 20% only we will rely on hydrocarbon or gas specifically. This is based on the base scenario. So next, please. This curve shows the installed capacity we need to install in order to achieve this target. You have a curve. I hope you are in line with the same slide, where it's a bar chart which it shows the installed capacity of different renewable energy supply sources or different supply sources. If you look to the last column to the right of the curve, which shows the installed capacity of different resources. For renewable, you will find that we will need to build 3.8 gigawatt of CSPs. We need to build 31.8 gigawatt of PVs, and we need to build 43 gigawatt of wind, so for 3.6 gigawatt. The total investment needed is $83.8 billion. Over 18 years, we need to mobilize investment of $83.8 billion in order to achieve this target. This for sure includes the interconnection cost. It's not just the plant cost, it also includes the interconnection and expansion in the transmission system. So regardless the high potential of renewable energy which can be achieved according to the energy strategy, the achievable part of this potential will be very much limited and dependent on the power sector capacity to attract investment in implementing projects. Next, please. So basically, attracting investment is a multidimensional criteria. It's administrative, technical, financial, and even physical, because whatever project you need to build, you need to have necessary infrastructure in place, access roads, network interconnection, water supply, whatever infrastructure you need. So a lot of things. So regarding both technical and administrative measures which you need to attract investment, we need to enhance the governance of the generation grid and planning. We need to have a transparent planning process which give at least 5 years. The strategy is providing 20 years, but every 5 years we need to issue an expansion plan, because it's very much important for the investor to be aware about what our plan, because he might not be ready, for example, to invest for the project which will be bid for the first year, but because he might need to liquidate some resources in some other markets in order to mobilize finance to finance in Egypt. So he should be very well aware about when he will ready to introduce. And this will help very much in reducing the bidding time. Also, we need to improve our bidding and auctioning process. Actually, Mr. Medhat mentioned about medium to large scale. Actually, auction, this is a way to involve medium scale into large plants, because in auction, you just announce for a bulk of renewable energy, but you allow a maximum and minimum. So you could announce 1,000 megawatt, but you could accept offer between 50 megawatt and 20 megawatt only, or much less. So this is not like a bid. There is one winner in auction. There is a multiple winners who could win with medium capacities, and this will increase the market liquidity too much. Also, contracts of difference, which is a new approach for contracting, where the producer could sell electricity in the electricity market, but the grid guarantee a specific price with him. So if he sell at lower price in the market, he could get the difference from the system operator, but if he sell at a higher price, he will pay the system system operator. So this is called sometimes symmetrical contracts. Integration of renewable energy, which is a technical process, which is need a lot of measures as listed, grid planning, grid stability measures, grid operation, new grid operation scheme, and grid development approach, either including expansion and extension of the grid. Land allocation. We need to allocate land, and this land be ready and equipped with necessary infrastructure, as well as right-of-way, because it's not just to allocate land, but you need to have access to this land through interconnections by the grid. Electricity market reform. It's a part of very much important to move forward to electricity market reform, because it's helped, for example, to apply contract of difference, distributed renewable energy, which is Mr. Medhat mentioned in early, we need to support or expand or empower the distributed energy system. And unfortunately, a lot of, I should say, confusing regulation came recently about distributed generation, which might affect the market. But we need to rectify this and make it very clear signal and expand this. Also, we need to increase the trading of renewable energy through introducing derivatives for renewable energy, specifically guarantee of origin certificate, which I'm going to mention later how much it could influence. Biomass, because it's a very, complicated, because a lot of stakeholders are involved, need to coordinate new regulations for it, as well as to map the resources. Next, please. Shows how much, from a technical point of view, we need to work on the grid. We need short-term forecasting to be expecting to ensure the grid stability. We need congestion management procedures. We need access priority, reserve balance, because this is need to be identified, because now we are dealing with a variable supply source like solar and wind. And specifically, if you talk about smaller systems, many decisions could affect. So the system operator should be have sufficient reserve to keep the grid stability, frequency, and which is need enhancing in the codes, as well as curtailment. We need to minimize this curtailment. Next, please, which is titled Additional Measures for Modernizing Electricity Sector. It's not just technical. We need also to improve the governance and modernize our electricity system. We need to improve sector governance. We need to restructure our public electric utilities, specifically transmission company, as well as a distribution company for distributed generation. We need to empower Egypt era, because independent regulator and powerful regulator is one of the guarantees for a conducive investment market. We also need to reduce project risks, because as much as we could reduce the project risk, we could have an access to low-cost finance. Building regulatory and legal framework to attract foreign direct investment. I'm meaning here specifically the stock market. Actually, we need a larger role of a stock market in attracting investment for renewable energy and facilitate liquidation for the project if some of the developer would like to leave the market. So it's very much important to enhance this criteria. Creating business-friendly environment, as well as communicate strongly. We need to send a very strong message to all investors and developers that system is moving forward in that direction. Next, please. This last two slides, I believe I take much longer time, but Law 203/2014 basically was an advanced step at that time, which introduced some mechanism like feed-in tariff, allocation of public lands for private sector project, priority for dispatch, allowance for use of quota mechanism. Yet, a lot of development happened in the market since then. And also a lot of enhancement and new mechanism has been introduced internationally. And this should be included in our legal framework. So we need to re-enhance our legal framework to allow for these advancements as well as developments to be considered. Final slide, last slide, enhancing the legal framework. It shows that we need a new law which take into enhancing the energy planning and make it much more transparent, as well as attractive for investment. So we need 5-year plan, quietly transparent, allowed for investment, published 1 year before getting into implementation. This will help investors to apply. And even this national plan should include private sector plan, because even if a private sector plans are selling to other private or selling to electricity market, still it's a national objective. It helps in reducing our dependence on fuels, as well as it's a part of our plans for reducing emission of climate change, which cause climate change. So also we need to grant status of project of public interest to private projects, which is included in the plan. This is give it the chance to access public land, access right of ways. Also, we need an obligatory disclosure for information. CRAMP, I don't believe much of you already have a copy of CRAMP. We need to have a platform where all data and historical data for sites become available for investors in order to be able to make a pre-assessment for their investment and be well prepared. Also, we need to open the door for qualified companies to do what we call it land developer, similar to scheme which is taking place so far in industrial sector, like industrial developer and is a tourist sector like tourist developer, where this developer is not investing in renewable energy, but is investing in equipping the land with necessary infrastructure, preparing the land, levelize the land, do measurements, and make it prepared for renewable energy developer. And renewable energy developers start to pay for them after production. So this is reduce the burden at the initial stages for the developer. And this will allow or open an investment for all construction companies. Allow for third-party access, specifically energy banking. Energy banking, because if you are a private sector and selling to another private sector, you might generate in a different time. So the grid will act like a bank, and this should be free for having this. So whenever you have energy, you pump it to the grid. Whenever your customer need energy, he will draw it from the grid, not necessary to be in the same time exactly like a bank. Adopt renewable energy auctions and contracts. As I mentioned, auction will enable more liquidation for the market, liquidity for the market, where it allow medium scale developer, not just large, just big names, but also medium scale developer to participate in utility size plants, as well as contracts of difference. Also empower distributed generation, and also expand net metering. We have just what we being applied so far is a simple net metering. We need to expand the system to include aggregated net metering, tenant net metering, and third-party net metering, where a developer could build a facility and own it at another customer facility and sell electricity to the customer, and this customer has the right, if has an excess energy, to get into net metering contract with the grid. So we need to expand and alleviate any kind of constraints to this market, because it has a lot of advantage. It's a low-cost investment. It's simple technologies. It could have much higher labor contribution, as well as it doesn't demand sovereign guarantees or much guarantees like large plants. Finally, we establish a guarantee of origin, which is called like a derivatives for renewable energy. Practically, when you generate for renewable energy, you generate electricity and you generate an attribute which is renewable. And this is very much important. First, because recently Europe will apply a carbon border adjustment mechanism, which means that they will tax any import to Europe if based on their carbon footprint. You need to show them our product is come from green energy. So you need to show green certificate. Actually, we export to Europe $6 billion products every year, in addition to hydrocarbon, which is now maybe goes to $10 billion. But $6 billion of different products, of a wide range of products, we need to clean this. So we need this certificate of origin to be there. Next, to this point, I will stop, and sorry for being a little bit, takes much time. I appreciate very much being with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz, for your informative and comprehensive presentation. I would like just to emphasize on a couple of messages within the presentation that you have already presented. Thank you very much for that. The distributed energy systems, and how can we enhance and promote this in different domains. I mean, not only for the renewable energies, but new energies as well, like the cogeneration, the waste to energy, or whatever the domains of the energy efficiency. We would like effectively on the ground to also promote the distributed energy systems. It's quite clear that the government is already taking care of the gigawatt scale in different disciplines, but on the distributed energy system, which is much more easier, or can be also having hand in hand a very good contribution to the decarbonization plan and the whatever the domains of the new energy and the energy efficiency. This is very quite important for us to focus on, and I will get back to later on for to touch base in different disciplines with your good self and the speakers. Also, it's good to hear about the certificate of origin, and also we will get deeper in that in different applications, also not only for the renewable energies, if we have the potential for that. The stock market and medium size, or whatever, medium to large scale This is also one of the mechanisms that we would like also to share insights and to shed more light about the carbon credits or any other mechanism that we'll be also discussing in order to support or to finance the project or to have a good finance, soft loans or whatever the mechanisms to increase the potential and to show on the ground the expand in whatever disciplines of renewable energies and new energies as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz, for the presentation. I would like to ask the speakers also to please to share with us the discussion, and we'll take it from there. Thank you. So, capitalizing on the again the access to finance and how can we also provide uh, good or let's say soft loans or any other mechanism to support the growth of the medium to large scale projects in the energy efficiency and renewable energies applications. As I said, from the renewable energy side, new energy side as well, like as I said, cogeneration, trigeneration for different distributed energy systems. I would like to start the discussion with Mr. Philip Jago, uh, EPAB or Egyptian Pollution Abatement Project. Thank you very much for being there and participation. I would like to shed more light about the existing mechanisms, the or programs that EPAP can provide to support energy efficiency projects and new energies as well, and renewable energies. I mean, how can you see the market, the potential, and the role of EPAP to support medium to large scale projects in that domains? We would like to hear from you what is already there and what is, if there are any future plans to expand or grow such applications in the market and your role specifically in the market. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you very much, Medhat, and thank you kindly for inviting me on this panel with our other esteemed experts, and good afternoon, everybody. Maybe I should introduce the Egyptian Pollution Abatement Program to start off with, because I'm sure many of you may not have heard of it, but it is an initiative of the Ministry of Environment. It was intended to support industry, help them to improve their performance, to improve energy and resource efficiency, and also to bring companies into compliance with the environmental law. And I think for those of us that were at the MBE meeting this morning, EPAP started back in 1997. And I know we have this subject of sustainable finance and green projects. We like to think that we were one of the forerunners back in the 90s, providing loans to industry to help industry improve in their performance. I'd have to say, since 1997, the EPAP program has provided over 300 million euros in loans and grants to industry, triggering investments of over 600 million euros. So we have been a substantial player in the market. And of course, next year, we'll celebrate 25 years. So we hope that we'll be back at events like this to enlighten people on some of the results. Our funding comes from, well, we're currently in the third phase, and we have a budget of about 150 million euros. Our funding comes from the European Investment Bank, the French Development Agency, KfW, the German bank, and the European Union. But those funds are channeled through local banks. So our Apex Bank is the National Bank of Egypt, and they have agreements with 5 other banks in Egypt. So we have CIB, QNB, the Industrial Development Bank, Bank to Care, and MBK. So if any companies are looking to avail themselves of our financing facility, you could go to any one of those banks, or you could contact us directly. We are based in the Ministry of Environment. For us, when we look specifically at energy efficiency, and I have to say, we only got into energy efficiency and resource efficiency in the last 2 to 3 years. So the driver for us has to be, the desire for companies to reduce their energy consumption. I should add, we do not currently do not finance renewable energy, but that will change in the future, and we'll come on to that later. So definitely energy efficiency. The types of projects that have been brought to our attention have been at the smaller scale, the energy efficient boilers, energy efficient chillers, energy efficient compressors. We are looking at financing combined heat and power plants, and we do have certain requirements on that. We also look to finance waste heat recovery, which is sort of a growing issue in many companies, and particularly in the cement sector. We've also have had approval to look at flare gas recovery. So we do lots of different types of projects. And I should add, the other projects we support in the cement sector are alternative fuels, switching them away from fossil fuels into alternative fuels. And there is a decree now that cement companies must use at least 10% of their fuel should be in terms of alternative fuels. So what is it that we give as EPAP? We provide loans. The term of these loans is 5 to 8 years. We can lend up to 25 million euros. So we look at the mid caps to the large projects. Having said that, I would like to add, we also have a grant-only facility for SMEs using the Central Bank of Egypt's initiative, where we provide a grant only of up to 30%. But anyone coming to borrow loans through us, we have a mix of loans with a grant facility. That grant goes up to 22%, depending on the type of project. I should add, for energy efficiency projects, because these tend to be profitable, our grant is more likely to be in the 10 to 15% range. You're asking, what is the market? Of course, EPAP has been in this market for a long time. We're not the only one providing energy efficiency funding. You do have many other European organizations, the EBRD, some of our co-financers, EIB, AFD, also Proparco. So yes, there is money in the market to support companies. I think that one of the key issues is making companies aware that these financing packages exist. I should add, as we are mostly financed through European organizations, previous speaker referred to the Green Deal in EU, and for exporters exporting their products to Europe, you need to be very aware of the CBAM, the Cross-Border Adaptation Mechanism, which comes into play next year, where there will be a tax on the embedded CO2 content of products. But in terms of, again, where is the market going in Egypt? It's definitely expanding. The energy is a priority for the European Union. So when they look at their program for the next 7 years, energy is one of the key areas.
We are very glad also that you have already mentioned that besides the renewable energies as well, there is some sort of support for new applications like waste heat recovery, flare gas recovery, or any resource efficiency or energy efficiency application as well. It's quite important to emphasize that the renewable energies is there, wind, solar. There are some other applications that can contribute to the decarbonization. I'm talking about the Egyptian market and worldwide as well. Industrial application like the waste heat recovery for cement applications or cement or steel or intensive energy consumers could be also one of the major contribution application to cut down carbon emissions. What I would like also to understand from your side, in terms, as you said, we have the SMEs level, and this will be up to 30% grant. But what I would like also to understand is the eligibility of the companies or the systems that are applying for such access to finance. I mean, this one can be eligible for SMEs, that one cannot. We would like to understand the terms, conditions, framework about that. How can we apply for that? In which scale it's eligible for SMEs application or as SMEs incentives or otherwise. I would like to a little bit understand from your side the framework in terms of which program we can have the eligibility to apply.
Sure. If companies are borrowing through our loan facility, it is open to any companies throughout Egypt. So we have no restrictions on that. We do have certain criteria that companies would need to meet. If we are looking at the energy efficiency, we will look at the financial return on that investment. For us, the NPV should be greater than 50% of the capital costs. Energy efficiency is the driver. One of the issues for companies applying to us, they will need to be creditworthy because the funds come through the local banks. So they will do their due diligence on the requested funds. So they will need to be creditworthy. I should add, as EPAP, we have the financing package, but equally we also have the technical support package. And I've heard a number of different talks during the course of this conference. One of the key issues for companies is having access to technical support. And so EPAP does provide that support. We have, in terms of other aspects of it, procurement, we have certain requirements for procurement, but generally on a lot of the projects on the energy efficiency, all we require on procurement is that the company obtains 3 quotations. This is up to 5 million euros. So we only need to see 3 quotations for which they take the lowest bidder. Anything above 5 million has to go to competitive tender. The tender should be fair and efficient and economic. So that's fair to the company and fair to the contractors that are bidding for this work. So the documents, the technical documents must be clear. The procurement process must be undertaken quite fairly. So yeah, I mean, we do have eligibility criteria. I do have my cards. On the back of it, we have a QR code, and you can scan that QR code and you'll see all the different types of projects that we support and the eligibility criteria in that.
Okay. In terms of the end users, we have EPC contractors, we have the IPP or independent power producers that they have the appetite to finance the projects and sell power to the off-takers. So if we have the end user, we have the EPC contractor that we can provide the finance, EPC plus finance to the end user, and we have another category of the IPPs. Do we have any restrictions, I mean, in terms of the access to finance for EPAP program, that it should be private sector, governmental, IPPs, or contractors? If you would like also to give us a little bit overview about this.
The program is open to private and public sectors. There's no limitation on that. Our target market is the end company, the industrial company itself. So we would tend to fund projects implemented by the companies themselves. We do look at ESCOs as well.
Yeah. The energy service company.
One of the things that we would look at the ESCO would be how does the industrial company benefit from that scheme?
Yeah.
And how does our grant facility that would go to the ESCO flow through to the company itself? So if we are providing soft loans and grants, okay, the ESCO itself would be making money on the PPA, but equally we want to see how the benefit of the grant flows through to the end company as well. So we would look at all those types of projects.
We can say that the framework or the program is already flexible in different applications, different off-takers, and it depends from project to project the case it will be.
We're very flexible, but I should say European taxonomy changes every day.
Yeah.
And we have certain things when we look at combined heat and power plants that we have to meet. So two of the key things when we're looking at combined heat and power is that the CO2 emissions should be less than 250 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour produced. And there should be at least a 10% saving in the primary energy savings. So we do have these issues to look at. But I mean, we have the software set up that allows us to plug in the numbers and come up with that quickly. I mean, this is all driven by Paris Agreement, all driven by the Europeans. And of course, many of the European organizations are looking very closely at fossil fuels and unabated fossil fuels.
Thank you very much for your elaboration. I believe Dr. Hafs Salmawi has already approached somehow the legal framework through the presentation, what is needed from the legislative perspective somehow. Right now, Mr. Philip has also introduced the EPAB program and how can we get the benefit from the industrial application or industrial perspective for that program. I would like also to introduce Engineer Ayman Qurra, the founder and chairman of Qurra Energy. Here, I would like to stop at playing the role of contractor and IPP as well. One of the players in the market that looking to expand in the direction of the energy systems, energy efficiency, and sustainable green energy systems. How can you see the market, the growth, the potential, as well as what are the major challenges from your perspective towards or that hinder little bit that growth, or what is needed from legislative and financial perspective to be enhanced so as to grow in that directions in different domains as we presented?
First of all, thank you for the workshop. There is a great potential in Egypt. I mean, we just heard a few days ago that the Egypt strategy is how to reduce the consumption of natural gas in order to export more and to be replaced by renewable energy, and how to improve efficiency of the generation side. We were lucky at the pioneer company in the green sustainable energy. I think since 2007, we have several pilot projects being invested by our company to show different type of generation, how to improve efficiency and how to reduce carbon CO2. And we have started in 2007 by cogeneration, and that was about 23 mega plus 500 ton of refrigeration, Eastern Company. And then in 2017, we have flare gas recovery. And recently we have tri-generation, which we, with one source of energy, with source of natural gas supply, we produce 28 mega. We produce 16 ton of steam per hour and 430 ton of refrigeration. So we at least save about 1,200 meter of natural gas per hour of normal boiler used to replace it. So the exhaust of the engine are used as a heat source to transform water to steam. So then we are saving a lot of natural gas. Also, we have reduced CO2 emission by about 40,000 tons per year annually in that project. So we have also waste heat recovery that is implemented with Helwan cement, and also waste to energy incinerator since 2009. So many of those projects, we believe we have took the risk, and we decided to be dedicated in that domain and to have accumulated experience in different application. Of course, there is a lot of challenges. One is finance, and when I say finance, is you have to educate the market. I would say many of the stakeholders, uh, not a resistance, but to convince a new idea or new implementation, they at the end they say, I'm not sure of the deliverables. So we took the risk, we invest ourselves to prove on ground that we have solid results. That happened in the flare gas, happened with the tri-generation. So many of our application we took the initiative. Unfortunately, we were forced to use commercial uh, banking, normal banking with very high interest rates. We could not, for instance, have securitization. Was not yet practice. How to get out of such project, or how you uh, provide this for investment banking, how you, because you need to continue, you need to have a process of continuity, because again, we have to follow Egypt's strategy. That's how to improve or how to replace natural gas by renewable, by improving efficiency of different projects. And if we don't find ease of doing business or ease of financing or having way to have a simple process of getting the finance again from securitization, for instance, or different aspects, then it's more difficult. It's not easy of doing business. And secondly, we have many stakeholders who has to give you the final permit. I mean, from, as Mr. Hafiz said, from the land uh, approval or land allocation to all different permits you need. So you don't have one-stop shop to go one area. So you need to coordinate with many stakeholders in order to finalize all legislation for such project, which is again waste of energy, waste of time, and waste of effort. So if really we are going forward, we have to raise the awareness for the private sector, for the stakeholder, for the government, how to really work all together, all the stakeholders to coordinate, to be streamlined in one direction to achieve our target. Again, starting, there is a great potential. Take flare gas. So many, we have burned a lot of wells. So there is a potential LPG. We import LPG. We can make use of this flare gas to produce LPG. We save a lot of hard currency importing this, and we reduce the emission and we reduce the carbon. So you have dual or three interests from the environment and from the eco-friendly and from the economic and feasibility of those projects. Also, as a pilot, how to improve and increase efficiency of power generation at large. We have proven, seeing is believing. I would like to invite many of the participants to visit our site to see on ground how we really manage to improve efficiency, to reduce the consumption of natural gas, and again, payback and feasibility. But again, is how to make ease of doing business. Thank you.
Quite clear. I think it's from the major challenges right now is the access to finance, and this is the core of our panel today. So, talking about the commercial banks and the partnerships or the access to finance from the other investment institutions with the commercial banks. The question here to Mr. Karim, representing CIB and one of the leading commercial banks in Egypt and in the region, how can you see the cooperation between the commercial banks and the investment banking in terms of the offering of the soft loans or any other sort of financial mechanisms that may support the IPPs for their approaches to the market in terms of the renewable energies, or like for Edison, as we have explained, the industrial application as well for the energy efficiency and resource efficiency. We would like also from you to share your insights and shed more light about the role of CIB and the existing mechanism or programs. This will be for us very beneficial to understand also from CIB perspective, how can you see the market and your role to expand in that directions, whatever that we have discussed right now. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me today. It's my pleasure to be here. So I would like to focus that we at CIB are not only giving like financial loans with or soft loans, as you mentioned, to clients. We are we are trying to make our clients more sustainable in their sectors, and we have an like we believe that we should create an ecosystem of both financial and technical support. So I will explain both of them and what we are doing in both of them. For the financial part, we are trying to finance all the different types of green projects. For example, we are focusing on renewable energy, energy efficiency, water efficiency, green buildings, and also like new renewable energy cogeneration, fractionation, all these kind of projects. So we are covering all these kind of technologies, and even if some technologies are arising, like green hydrogen, for example, so we are trying to add it to our framework of sustainable energy. And we have different programs to cover all these types of projects. So I will give like a snapshot on each one of them. The first one is called the Green Bond Program. It's in partnership with the World Bank, IFC. It's about 100 million US dollars to finance all types of renewable energy and energy efficiency and green building projects. Some other programs, EPAP program, as Philip just mentioned, and he explained it very well. So we are partnering with EPAP, of course, and we have also another programs focused on agriculture. It's called ADB, Agricultural Development Program, and it's focusing on the water efficiency and resource efficiency and energy efficiency in all the agriculture supply chain, whether farming or even the manufacturing of agricultural products. So, and also we have our sustainability loans. It's from the internal resources of the bank itself, and here we are trying to cover the gaps that some of the other programs are not covering. As Philip just mentioned, the IPAP currently is not focusing on renewable energy, but maybe next year it will be covered. So we are trying to find these gaps and cover it through our different portfolio of programs. So a summary of these programs, they have different eligibility criteria. Some of them are focusing on large corporate companies, some of them are SMEs. For example, technical eligibility criteria differs also. Some of them are requiring energy efficiency, for example, 15% of reduction of energy consumption. Some are higher, 20%. So it differs from one to another. So what we are doing is that when we sit with our client, we try to understand better what is the project about, and then we fit it exactly in the right program to it. So this is the first part of our support to our clients to become more sustainable. The second part is the technical support. So we developed a program called Sustaining Sector Program. The program mainly covers many services to our clients in the different industrial sectors and all the other sectors. So the first service, for example, it's called Sustaining Workshops, where we gather the major clients in each sector. We started with with textile, food and beverage, and real estate sectors. So what we do is that we gather the major players in each sector, and we arrange like a workshop with the different energy consultants and resource consultants in this sector from different international organizations, and we are trying to compare the industry in Egypt with the international benchmark and see where are the gaps and what could be implemented to better manage our energy, water, and other resources in these exact industries. Then we develop a guideline and we share these guidelines with all the opportunities and their cost of investment, payback period, how much saving this will be created, and share those guidelines with the sector players. So we already started with three sectors, as I said, and we will continue with different other sectors in the coming month, like plastic and paper industry, and other sectors also. This is the first part of the technical support. Second part that we are offering, I think no bank is doing that right now, but we are offering walkthrough audit, energy audit for different industries and different clients. So we go to their factories for 1 or 2 days and we do our quick walkthrough energy audit where we try to find the best, the quick wins, for example, to save energy and water. And then we develop a full report of all the energy saving opportunities and how much they will save for them and the payback period. So far, we did 10 energy walkthrough audits in different industries, in the food and pharma and textile. And we are also will do another like more than 10 or 20 walkthrough audit. So it's all it's a free service for our clients just to help them again to become more sustainable. And so far, like the energy saving opportunities that we found was massive. Like we found an energy saving opportunities with more than like 20 gigawatt hour energy saving per year, the total opportunities. And usually the payback period was around from 1 to 4 years maximum for all these projects. So they were very interested to get this service from CIB. Final one, the final part of the technical support that we are giving is that we are trying to find the best sustainability certification worldwide in each sector and try to make our our clients get certified for these types of certifications in order to, of course, become more sustainable and also to allow them to open new markets for export, like for example in the developed countries in Europe and US and others. So if I can give one example for the real estate sector. So all the world now is going for green building. So we decided to support our clients in the real estate market by giving them some incentives and grant elements of any loan that they will get to get their new building certified as a green building. We support different kind of certification like LEED, EDGE, BREEAM, and we also not only giving them the financial support like the cashback, but we are also helping them during all the design and construction phase of the building until they get certified. So this is a snapshot of what we are doing both financially and technically at CIB because we believe that we should be a catalyst to our clients to become more sustainable and provide all the ecosystem that will allow them to be there. Thank you.
Mr. Karim. I believe that the Egyptian market right now is in a great transformation potential in different domains. So what I would like to also shed more light, Dr. Hafiz, about the best practice worldwide. I mean, we have now, as you have presented, different or diversified energy mix, like for renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy. As we have spoke right now, the waste heat recovery, flare gas recovery, different applications in different domains. So we would like to get the deeper, insights from you as being one of the experts for international practices all over the globe and specifically for Europe and cooperating with different German institutes and others. We would like to understand a little bit based on our Egyptian potential or the potential in Egypt, the energy mix. Right now we have the solar potential, very great potential, wind as well, as we have understood from your side, and other applications. How can you see the energy mix for the upcoming, let's say, at least 10 years? and the proper strategy of the promotion and encouragement plan or a strategy for the country or the government to develop that potential on the medium to the long term perspective. Um,
Yes. First, but if you allow me just for a minute to, there is an echo. If you allow me just for 1 minute just to comment on the energy efficiency, because already there is in Egypt what we call it NEAP, which is a National Energy Efficiency Action Plan. And I will just focus on two parts of this NEAP because it's very much relevant to our topic today. The first one, according to the electricity laws, there should be in each facility what we call it an energy manager. An energy manager is responsible to collect the information, keep it classified, and report to what we call it an energy register. Practically, this energy register will be publicly available, which could consider like an identification for energy efficiency project document because it shows the specific energy consumption, not specifically for a company, but for a sector, do benchmarking and so on. So this is very much important to be on ground because even if you do an energy audit for a facility, you would like to be sure that all data available records are credible, are checked, and okay, so you can get a good conclusion. Secondly, there is what we call it a financial facility. The financial facility, which includes three parts. One of them, what we call it an energy fund, which is basically like a small fine which will be applied on the tariff in order to create a fund. But the other two components of this financial facility is what we call it an energy hub. As we have heard here, that just to name, we heard about three projects so far, CIB project, EPAP project, I know GAF project with different partners, with different terms and conditions, with different scale for large and SMEs. So it's intention is to create what we call it a platform where all these projects with all terms and conditions and contact persons are available in one site. So me, if I am a facility, I'm looking to finance my facility. I go to the hub, I check with my terms and conditions, their terms and conditions, which fit me better, and then I being diverted to the contact person and proceed. So this is facilitate how to have an access. Also, the third component is loan guarantee facility because one of the main challenges that when the banks start to provide the loan, whatever the mechanism is available is the customer credit. So sometimes, although you are a customer who has a very good potential for energy efficiency, but your credit in front of the bank or your credit already exhausted by other aspects. So you might need to have this loan guarantee facility in order to provide a kind of guarantee. Ministry of Electricity, as a part of the Energy Efficiency Office, is working on this, but they are too slow in developing this, and this is very much important to be expedited in order to rectify that. Back to your question about international experience. Actually, in Europe, for example, there is the Green Deal, actually the main driver for most of the energy efficiency and renewable energy plan in Europe, in many other places in the United States, in Japan, are environmentally driven. So they are primarily focusing on reducing emissions and reducing greenhouse gases, and energy efficiency as well as renewable come as a part of this scope. So based on the Green Deal, for example, they are targeting to reduce the emission in Europe compared to 1990 by 55%. And then this is when the what was called it Fit for 55 came, which came recently in December 2021. So basically, it's an environmentally driven. But for example, accelerating renewable energy programs accelerating energy efficiency program. For example, there is a target within the Fit 55 to achieve 14% energy savings. This has been posted forward compared to the previous target of 9% by 2030 of the total energy mix, not electricity, not gas, not the all energy mix of energy efficiency. Also, there is an expedite program. Just to give you an idea, Germany, for example, it's an energy strategy saying by 2050, we would like to have 50% of our energy consumption coming from electricity, which is generated from renewable sources, and 50% come from hydro. Period. No fuel, no any other hydrocarbon. So this is the main trend internationally. Japan, as of today, has a very strong program for hydrogen, and they already have an agreement with Australia to import hydrogen to Japan. So back again, the main driver is environment, renewable energy, energy efficiency are the only successful tools, and the rest come as a kind of derivatives of this in order to support that target.
That's why COP27 is there, and again, نوفي on the it's time for implementation. As you said, renewable energy and energy efficiency on the top of the priorities, and this is the main drive for any sort of program to decarbonization or cutting down the carbon emissions or greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you for the insights about some best practices all over the globe for Japan and Germany. It's quite clear for us. I think also the NIAB, the emphasizing on that action plan and how can we, private sector or the public or different stakeholders, we have to be aligned with this action plan and strategy of the government. I believe also after we can get it further in depth, how can we be or how can be effectively having a contribution to that action plan hand in hand with the government. This may be also one of the topics that we can explore a little bit later. So back to Mr. Philip, regarding EPAP, if you have also can, as a positive message to the audience and all the stakeholders in the market, we need from you in brief, if you have case studies or the achievements on the ground from EPAP program in terms of the industries or specific domains or any other applications as well. We would like to hear from you the success story on the ground in brief, or to touch base about some applications or achievements on the ground in specific domains. The floor is yours.
Definitely. As I mentioned earlier, we've only just got into the energy efficiency in 2020. So a lot of the projects that we are supporting are currently under implementation. But we will produce case studies, we will add them to the website, we will distribute those when they are actually done. And as far as some of the earlier projects we have done in alternative fuels for the cement sector, those studies are available, and we look at the amount of energy, amount of waste that's been used, the amount of energy that's been replaced, the benefit to the companies. So these are all documented, and they are posted on our website, which is www.epap3.com. So yes, and we will continue to do that as these projects finish. We tend to write up these case studies after the project has been commissioned. And we also have a verification period. So we verify that the objectives of the project have been achieved. So in the case of energy efficiency, we will do verification monitoring 3 months after the handover to make sure it has met what the project was intended to do. The verification period varies for other types of projects. We go up to 12 months for compliance. But for sure, once we've verified that it's met its objectives, we would do a success story. And we will be covering these on, as I think I mentioned before, energy efficient chillers, energy efficient boilers, compressors, hopefully the CHP, which I saw earlier was not going to finish to 2024. But these types of projects we would write up and make them. As we find, I think, from previous programs, being able to disseminate out the successes helps motivate other companies to replicate that work. I should add, I think one of the other things that we're looking at, I mean, EPAP 3 we started in 2017, so we will run up to end of 23, beginning of 2024. That we do have a follow-on program and an EPAP 4, except it won't be called an EPAP 4, it'll be called Green Sustainable Industries. EPAP has probably run its course, and probably in terms of words is out of date now. And that agreement was one of the agreements that was signed here at COP27. So it'll have a fund of around 270 million euros. We will be supporting industry. It's solely dedicated to industry. One of the prime pillars is decarbonization of industry. And in that, we'll be looking very closely at clean energy. So we'll be looking at renewables. We will be looking at green hydrogen in terms of funding, providing finance and grant. We'll be looking at energy efficiency, and we'll be looking at biogas. So we have this big push, which is in line with the way the market is going. So we see there's a big market for this type of requirement. And so we'll provide that facility. The details will still be to work out, but we hope this will be up and running in the latter part of 2023, early 2024. So if anyone has any projects coming up, be sure to contact us.
Thanks. Quite clear. As a part of the awareness objective, this is the main objective of the panel. So it's very positive to understand and to get all of these inputs from your side, Mr. Philip, that we have EPAP 3 and EPAP 4. It's great news. To extend the facility or the support in different other disciplines, I would like also to seize this opportunity to understand from you, Mr. Karim, the case studies on the ground, the achievements that you see, and if you have any also future plan representing CIB for the upcoming years in different domains or any other domains, or the special focus to a certain domain. This is what we need to understand from your side.
Sure. So far we have financed more than 20 green projects in different types of sectors. Like for example, about 40% of them were focused on energy efficiency and energy management. About 15% on renewable energy, another 15% on green building, and the rest is about water management and water efficiency and other sectors. What I want to highlight is that we are financing all the supply chain part of all the industries. For example, like the end user, also the service provider, if it's ESCO company, or even the manufacturer itself. So any company manufacturing renewable energy components or energy efficient components, we are supporting that also. So we are covering the whole ecosystem. So this is what we have done so far. Maybe I can say some highlights of these projects. So we got an energy saving, total energy saving of these projects of more than 200 gigawatt hour per year, and also a reduction in carbon emission equivalent to 15 gigaton per year, and also a water saving of 40 million cubic meter per year. So this is a snapshot of all the projects that we financed so far, and there will be a report summarizing all the impacts of these projects. Will be published very soon on our website, CIB Sustainable Finance. You can find it there, hopefully by the end of this year. And for the next steps, we are partnering with different organizations, different financing institutions, trying to enlarge our portfolio of green financing instruments. And also we are adding the new technologies to our framework. So we are trying to support green hydrogen, desalination project, cogeneration, trigeneration, all these kind of stuff, because we knew that this is the new technologies that are coming. So every day we are trying to update our framework to cope all the new technologies. That's it.
Very much for your valuable insights, and thank you, Dr. Hafiz, Mr. Philip, Mr. Kareem, and Engineer Ayma for the insightful inputs. I would like to leave the floor for Q&A quickly in a couple of minutes if you have any question. Okay, so the wrapping up word, I would like to redirect it to Engineer Ayman about the potential, how you see the potential in a couple of minutes, please. How you see the potential in
Again, we have great potential. I think everybody knows that Egypt has unique positioning. That is, we have sun all year round, so solar. We have wind as well. Jabal al-Zayt is one of the best area worldwide. We have demonstrated as a company a few examples of how to improve efficiency, generation efficiency. And again, as I said, it's new implementation. So now seeing is believing. We have accumulated how we can really capitalize on what we have done. So we can really expand very quickly on such different application and different domains. But again, as we say, all stakeholders have to streamline, have to coordinate and cooperate to the success. We have ultimate goal. Egypt has a strategy, but the question is all stakeholders are streamlined. They are their policies, their procedures are in line with to achieve that objective. So that is the challenge we have, and that is a matter of culture change, mindset change, is how to support all effort in to achieve our ultimate goal, Egypt strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and participation. Really appreciate your insight and